Here we go. There you go. It's all gone very, very formal these days. So for those of you who haven't met me before, my name's Teresa, obviously, says that on the screen, and I'm the Business Development Manager for the branch known as Vivid of Thermomix Consultants, and we cover the north and west of Sydney, and from next week, we will also be covering the centre and east and south of Sydney. So we cover a lot of space. Between everyone on the screen, one of us is able to look after you. And we decided yesterday, before we knew everyone was going into lockdown, we just knew some people were going into lockdown, we thought that it was a great opportunity to just lift everyone's spirits and remind you about, you know, the things you can do with what's in your cupboard, and how you can use your Thermomix to make some winter warmers. And it was actually Linda Petroni, one of our presenters, who said, we need food full of love because everyone needs a bit of love at the moment. And we all went, yes. So that's what we're doing. We've got a lovely lineup today. Linda's making tom yum soup. Tina's going to make her beautiful cafe-style banana bread. Bev is actually going to show you pumpkin soup with steamed Mantou buns at the same time. For those of you who are a bit nervous about your Varoma, that's a really good dish. Linda Bertuccio is making chicken Kiev. I'm very keen to pick up her tips. I'm going to make pretzels because they look tricky, but they're really not. And they're great with a cocktail, you know, lockdown cocktails. Linda Bertuccio is also going to show you a quick cauliflower mash, again, using what you've got in your cupboard. And Anthea is going to come up with some lockdown cocktails to inspire you. And along the way, we're all going to share some stories with you. So one of the things that will be a consistent message is, of course, what's on offer if you decide. There are some of you on today who don't have a TM6. Some of you don't have a Thermomix at all, and that's always really exciting for us to show you the possibilities. And if you do decide that you want to look at purchasing a TM6, the current offer you may have heard the buzz about is actually our mini vac, which is made by Vorwerk, the same people who make the Thermomix. And we will talk about that a bit as we go. And the other thing I'm going to be really upfront about is how amazing this business is that we've been able to, in less than 24 hours, throw together a cooking class. We've had fun. We're all excited. And I'm going to be dropping little messages along the way if you'd like to know more about joining in with us, joining the fun, how you can do that. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Miss Petroni, who is going to start you off with tom yum soup. We just need to give you some volume there, Linda. Beautiful. And we get to give your new makeup close up, even better.
Right. Okay. As long as you can hear me, because I've got a big mouth, but you know, you've still got to put the sound on. Okay, so tom yum soup. This is one of my favorites, and there's various recipes of the tom yum soup around. You may have seen it on various cooking shows and things like that. The one that I make frequently is this one. It's quick and easy, and you can turn around and you can sub out some of the things that you don't have. Now, subbing out is probably something we're going to be doing a little bit of in the next 2 weeks, because sometimes ingredients like toilet paper, everyone goes nuts for, and then there's nothing available. So you just use what you've actually got, but some of the base things there, which is the chili, the lime, the ginger, that type of stuff, the tamarind paste, they're the key things that are going to give you the flavour. So going right into this recipe, it's called tom yum. The girls are going to throw it into the chat for you so you can see the actual link.
Tammy's already done it, and I just need to apologise. I didn't introduce Tammy. Tammy is the amazing consultant who's running the chat for you. So thank you, Tammy. And she's already popped it in.
Oh, go Tammy. Fantastic. All right. So I've already started this recipe because what we're trying to do today is cut down some of those steps so you're not watching us do things like chopping and things like that, so we can actually really speed things up. So this recipe is basically about placing some oil, some chili flakes, fresh chili, and again, if you didn't have the fresh chili, you'd probably just throw in some extra chili flakes if that's your thing. If you don't want it that chili, cut it back. So really simple in that space. 5 seconds, speed 7, we chop it up and then we scrape it down and we're going to heat it. So we've done that step already and this is where I'm at. I've just got some chili and oil and garlic in there and that's been cooked. The next thing that goes in is a bit of galang. Oh, I always get this wrong. Here we go. Somebody else is going to step in and say it. As soon as I knew I was going to say it, it was going to be wrong. Say it, somebody. Galangal.
I'll get it wrong.
That's it, isn't it?
Galang, galang. Oh, now see, I can't say it either. I normally can. I'm going to stop. Over to you.
Okay.
Tina will be able to.
And sometimes I don't find that. It's not always readily available. So I sub out and go with fresh ginger too. So that's okay. So don't worry. These are the things that you're going to learn. When you're in lockdown, you've got to make things work. So I've got that ginger that's going in for today's particular one. Shallots are going in. So it's just one. I've split it in half and then ripped it in half again. And then we're going in with the tamarind paste, and this is readily available in most supermarkets, probably around the Asian section. So I've just picked up a little jar like that, and then once it's open, just pop that in the fridge. So there's one section of that, that's a tablespoon, I think, that goes in. Shrimp paste is optional. I tend not to go with it. I think there's enough seafood because we're throwing in the prawn heads in this, so you don't necessarily need it. But anyway, all of this goes in and we just give it a quick chop. So I've got that in, that in, and that in, and we are ready to go. So just bringing that around to 10 and giving that a quick chop.
And you could replace shrimp paste with fish sauce, by the way.
Sorry?
Tina was just reminding us that you can replace shrimp paste with fish sauce.
Very good, because the next ingredient I'm putting in is fish sauce, which is why I was sort of saying, don't put the shrimp paste in. If you don't like it overly fishy, there's enough with the fish sauce and the shrimp, and the prawn head. So the next thing is some fish sauce and then lemongrass. Now, if you haven't worked with lemongrass before, you actually have to peel this stuff. Now, you might have seen this in the fruit and veg shop, and it's got like a hard outer layer. So make sure you take some of those layers off first. And they call, when you're working with this, there's something that they say, and it's called bruising it. So if you've got a heavy base knife, the back of the knife always helps you by just giving it a bit of a knock and just giving it a bit of a bruise, okay? So some people I've seen, the fancy Asian cooks, and Tina's got to correct me here, tie it in a knot even before they throw it in. The key thing is here that you've got it so that it's soft enough and it can actually break down, sort of cook in there anyway, and you get the goodness that you need out of it, the flavour. So that's gone in, the lemongrass is in. You can make your own stock in your Thermomix if you haven't yet done so. Maybe the one that you've actually made first off is the vegetable stock paste. But in the front section of this book, it teaches you how to make chicken and meat stock as well. If you haven't got that, and often in my house, I've always got the vegetable stock paste, but I don't necessarily have the others. And if you really wanted to remove all the meat aspects of this, you could just use vegetable stock paste. So I've got some stock mixed in with my water here. This is actually fresh stock that I've got. So I'm not doing the water and paste ratio. I'm just going in with a whole litre of the actual stock here. So I'm just going to pour this in without tipping it all over my Thermomix, which I just did. Great, fantastic. And Kappa lime leaves. Now, these are readily available, but if you've got a friend that actually has a Kappa lime tree, ask for leaves. They actually freeze really well, so you don't have to just keep them in your in the fridge section. You can actually lie them flat, pop them in a snap lock bag and pop them in the freezer. It's a good idea to tear them a little bit so that the flavour comes out. So throw those in. I just picked mine up from Harris Farm today, but you can get them at Woolies and things like that as well. So that goes in. Lime juice. Oh, my lime juice. Oh, it's over there. Just 1 second. Lime juice and reserved prawn heads. So I've peeled my fresh prawns and deveined them. Make sure I took out the poo shoot. If you've watched MasterChef, they go on about that poo shoot, don't they? So thrown all of that in, and then we pop the lid on, and then I'm going to come back to you because we're going to heat this for about 18 minutes. And I'm sure you don't need to see me heating the Thermomix for 18 minutes, but we're going to go over to somebody else, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you how we sieve it, strain it, and then add the fresh prawn meat to it. So it's quite simple up to this stage, bringing it all together, and it packs a punch with flavour. So I look forward to sharing a bit more with you when I get to come back on screen. Thanks.
Thank you, Linda. And again, thanks for keeping it real. The first person to make a mistake like spill stock makes the rest feel really good as we make mistakes going through. So perfect. Now, our next presenter is the beautiful Tina, who is going to show you how to make her cafe-style banana bread. Over to you, Tina.
Hi everyone, I'm Tina, and it's so good to be able to showcase to you something that is already in your Thermomix. The banana bread is a standout recipe. You should try it. If you haven't, you'd never go back to store-bought banana bread ever again. But the best part about it is when you have bananas that are bruising or they don't look very pretty, and the kids don't want to take them to school anymore, or it's school holidays and you have a heap of bananas just like I do, you can make banana bread out of it. So with a little twist, we are going to be using the very special silicone baking molds that we can find in the mix shop. And I'll show you how to jazz it up to make cute little miniature size banana bread, but in a nice tiny little miniature. But at the same time, I'm going to do 3 different styles to make it cafe style, perfect for a wonderful cup of coffee or a cup of tea. And this actually helps to cook the banana bread even faster. So it usually takes 50 to 60 minutes to make the banana bread in a loaf pan, but we can almost half the time with these silicone mini loaf pans. So I'll get started. But it's so good to be able to use whatever we have in our pantry, because we just decided that we're going to do a show just today, and whatever we have, we can make something out of it, and we hope you enjoy. So I'm going to switch over to, this is how the screen looks like. I can start cooking. I preheated my oven and I don't have to grease my silicone mini loaf. And then off you go. I've got my bananas, and if I didn't measure up, here we go again, 2 spares, there you go. And then all these bits you may have tried before, but just let's go on with it. What's next? And then we have the butter. I've pre-weighed it already, so that's all good. And then the caster sugar. I'm reducing sugar. And then here we go again. 20 seconds. I love it that you can use almost anything. In fact, we are going to do a bit of a switch around. I'm not going to be using buttermilk, I'm using milk because I'm using whatever I have in the fridge. Now it says scrape down, but it might be a good time for you to take a look at how 20 seconds look like. Be reminded that if it was non-Thermomix, you'd be pulling out your mixers, you'll be pulling out your weighing scales, you'll be having your ingredients splattering out while you are doing this mixing up. It's done the mash, no forks. And here we go, in with the eggs. And then so efficient that I can even hold the camera while doing this. 10 seconds, 5 seconds. Here, the flour, So the flour, baking powder, pink salt, bicarb, and then I will throw in the buttermilk on. So it's all pre-measured, so don't worry if you can see the scales going funny, because that's the weight of the lid. Super quick, isn't it? I sometimes throw this in maybe an hour before I pick the kids up, and by the time they come home, mom's got brownie points for making fresh banana bread ready for them. Aren't they lucky? So there we go. You can see I made this a lot of times. So with this, you can actually use the Thermomix recipe and do things like scales. You can check the recipe details to see if you've missed anything. And you can even cancel your recipe, which we're not going to do. Plenty of things to do with your TM6 large screen, isn't it? So now you prepare into the loaf tin. I'd like to take a look and see whether it's combined well. And look at that. Hands-free, making banana bread effortlessly. Isn't that so cool? And it says here, bake 50 to 60 with a regular loaf pan, but I'll show you a little bit of cafe style right this minute. And then to cool in the tin. So that's it. And I can just end just like that. And I'll transfer to the main camera again. So back to me again. That's the camera. That's my banana bread. And this is my loaf pan. Switching back to camera. This is the camera. What I like about this silicone loaf pan is that, let me get my, let's go, my spatula. What I love about these loaf pans is that because the mixture pours out really broadly, it captures without much spills really well. Can you see that it actually falls out in this way? If you had something round, you might be fiddling with a little bit of mess, but these loaf pans are great for this job. So another 4 more, and then we'll do a bit of cafe style. That's too little. I've got to go back to that. And they come up to looking like little miniature banana bread, which is so cute. I've given it to, I think I got my daughter to become a teacher's pet because of these. And I'm now known as the desserts mother, because I'll be giving them treats. I think just a little bit more here. And this. Okay, a little bit more here too. All right. Trying to get it as bumped because it's going to be nice and bumped up. And I like it that it doesn't spill over too much, unless of course if you over pour it. Okay. So now I have 12 compartments, potentially 12 little baby banana breads. And so I'm going to make one row, one flavor, another flavor, another flavor. So let's just go, say if we are going nut free, I've swapped it out with some buckwheat. And oats as well. So that's healthy and good for the lunch boxes for some schools that don't have, they can't allow any nuts. And then I'm going to do the cafe style one. And I found that this works a lot better because I'm going to slice up the banana in its skin itself. And I like to slice it in the skin because it helps to keep it from mushing in my hands. Okay. So just like that, I'm gonna take this again, and I'm going to put it on a diagonal. Because it's prettier to put it on a diagonal. If it's a loaf pan, it will the patterns will come up very pretty. But in this case, we're making a mini one. And then let's do the traditional classic walnuts. And there you have it, cafe style banana bread. I'm going to put it for half an hour instead of 50 minutes. And I'm sure they are ready. And that's it for me. I can hand it over to the next presenter. Thank you very much.
And you know what? I said I would drop in, messages about how awesome our business is. Can I just tell you, every single time we do a cooking class together, I learn something. And that banana tip was gold. I had all my years of cooking, never thought about slicing them with the skin on. So thank you very much. Our next presenter is the beautiful Bev Smith, who is coming to you from Cauliflower, and she is going to be making the steamed Mantou buns and butternut pumpkin soup. So over to you, Bev.
Hi, thank you, Teresa, and thank you, Tina. Just when I thought I had everything I wanted from the mix shop, I just discovered I definitely need that.
I know, those little mini loaf pans. I'm definitely ordering some when we finish today.
And Teresa is right. Being a consultant, we get exposed to all of this gold so often that we just become the most incredible cooks in our kitchen, like you guys do as well, I'm sure. Okay, so I am going to be making a beautiful soup. In fact, I made it this morning and had it for lunch. I couldn't wait. So I've had a practice and I've had a try. It was great. So Mantou buns with buttermilk squash soup. Okay, because it takes a little bit of time to get those Mantou buns happening, I've already made them and they're doing their second proof at the moment. So I've got one layer and then the second layer. So in a minute, I'm going to show you and go through and give you tips on how I put those together. So I've gone a little bit further in the recipe because the recipe starts with making those buns. So right at this point, I'm going into the soup because they're ready to steam on top of the soup. Layered cooking. That's how amazing the Thermomix is. You have a whole lot of things going on at once. Okay, first step is to pop in 30 grams of unsalted butter, which I have right here. Just before this class, I went through and did a delivery briefing with a brand new customer. It was so much fun. And he and his friends jumped on the class as well. So good on you, Gareth, and I hope you pick up a whole lot more tips right now. Okay, so I've popped the butter in and it says 30 grams of yellow onion. I didn't have yellow onion and I looked for it. Sometimes you get different, requests for different ingredients. You can sub out what you've got. I had a brown onion, which is actually white. So I popped that in. But, it still tastes great. Yellow onion, you might have some, you might know where to get it. I did get some butternut pumpkin. Pop that in. And next. Okay, splash guard. This is unique to the TM6 because we are able to enjoy high temperatures, which is fantastic, which means we can caramelize, we can get more flavor. So it says to pop on the splash guard, which is what this is. It stops anything from splashing, which keeps our kitchen nice and clean. So you have to say, yes, I've done it. And then you just flick that mode and it's going to go up to a high heat using that butter to create beautiful flavor. Now this is a mode on its own. You can hear it stop, it starts. You don't need to worry about it. It knows what it's doing. You just leave it in the hands of its intelligence because it's very clever. Okay, so I don't know if that's back to front, but you can probably see what it says.
Bev, I love it.
I know, I love it too. I got it many years ago. I don't use it for a chopping board because it's got a clear message that I don't want to, you know, get chopped into. But keep calm and Thermomix, right? It was actually my brand new customer that told me that we're in lockdown again. I didn't know because I've been busy and I hadn't heard this morning. So, you know, when we have a Thermomix in our kitchen and when we have the opportunity to help you use your Thermomix or help you discover it or help you decide whether you'd like one. You know, this season that we're in at the moment, it's actually people discover a Thermomix and discover the benefits of it instead of going out to eat. You cook at home. And that's what we're all about, whether we're in this season or whether we're not in this season. So just stay calm. We will be okay. And cook for our families, cook healthy, nutritious food and have the benefits of Thermomix in your kitchen because it really, really helps you. Okay, so what I want to do quickly on my other Thermomix, a bit spoiled. I've got two, I've got more than that, but I've got two on my bench. I just wanted to quickly go through the first steps in the recipe and just tell you how I got these buns and put those together. Now, if you could smell what's coming out of my Thermomix right now, because it's a high temperature, it's sizzling, it's browning those onions, and it's caramelizing and making flavor and fragrance. Okay, so the beginning of this recipe starts with making a dough because a mantou bun is a Chinese bun that gets steamed. So you start with some yeast, it tells you to pop that in. Brown sugar, there's a bit of sugar in these buns. You don't taste it a lot, but there's a little bit of brown sugar and that helps to activate the yeast. Add some water. And then I love how the Thermomix will heat that water to the right temperature, 37 degrees to activate the yeast. If I tried doing that on my stove, I'd probably kill that yeast and I don't want to do that. And then it goes on to putting in flour, 500 grams of flour. Now, being a consultant, I'm very fortunate. I'm a leader now. I've been that for a long time. I spent 2 weeks with Chinese consultants in New Zealand, and I learned all about Chinese cooking. That's the adventure you're on when you're part of this business. So consider it for yourselves. But one of the Chinese consultants taught me that they often use bleached white flour and their buns are white. Well, I didn't have any of that. I just use all-purpose flour. I actually use baker's flour and mine have got a little tinge of different color, but that's okay. Okay, so 500 grams of flour, a bit of oil, a bit of salt, and I suppose all of you are milling your own salt now because that's a very early discovery in your Thermomix journey that, you know, you don't want to have anti-caking agents in your salt, so you start to mill salt. Okay, and then we're going to mix that. So whenever you're going to knead, you often do a mix first. So that's what we're doing. We're mixing and then we're kneading. Okay, but I'm going to go straight to the next step of this soup part of it. Okay, this is where we're adding, just be mindful of steam. It smells amazing, it smells good. So add some potato, it's only 100 grams. It's russet potato, but I just used what potato I had. 60 grams of raw cashews, straight in. This soup becomes very creamy without cream. It's so tasty, and that's the cashews that make it creamy. 700 of water. Now, scales are right there when I need them. Gareth, I was telling you all about this. He's my new customer. And he's going to be cooking up a storm in his kitchen very soon. Probably tonight, I'd say. Okay. Who's a little bit, oh, I've got to get it right, exact. Well, with soup, you don't need to, it doesn't really matter. But with things like doughs, yeah, you do need to. I say if you get within 1 gram, you're winning. It's okay. Okay, so now it says, set the varoma on top. So I'm going to pop that up with the buns in it. So layered cooking, we've got the soup, we've got buns at the bottom, buns at the top. and we're going to cook for 20 minutes. But just very, very, very quickly, once that dough proofs, the recipe tells you to roll it out into a log, 46 centimetres by 20. Now, we're very fortunate that we have these beautiful thermomats that you can get through hosting that have measurements on the bottom that make it very easy to roll it out to what they're asking. And then it tells you to roll it further towards you. It's very easy to do, and then to cut it into 12 buns. I use this, which is out of the mix shop. You can cut on your mat with this, not with a knife. And so I divided it into 2 and then into 4, and I got 12 equal size buns. So that's what's going on in there. Soup at the bottom. That's me done, and I will show you what this looks like at the end when it's served up.
Thank you, Bev. I love the way Bev weaves those beautiful messages in, as well as making us all feel very hungry. Our next presenter is the delightful, I keep telling, I'm running out of superlatives for all these beautiful people presenting, but Linda Bertuccio, who is up in her gorgeous kitchen that has us all have a lot of kitchen envy in Kurrajong. Linda is going to show you how to make the Skinny Mix's chicken Kiev as the first dish she's doing tonight. And I have to tell you, chicken Kiev is one of those things I've always thought would have to buy. I wouldn't know how to make. So I'm really keen to watch how she does it, because I suspect it's one of those things that once you know how to do it, you'll never buy them again. Over to you, Linda.
Hi, everyone. I love the chicken Kievs from Skinny Mixes, and I love that they can be pre-made, have them in the freezer ready to go. They are so simple to make. And it was one of those things as well that I had on my bookmark that I was going to make one day. Just thought I needed a lot of time. It's actually really easy and really quick to make. So I've got it up on the screen already. First thing that we need is 100 grams of raw almonds. Again, everything's weighed out, so I'm just going to pop those in. Next, we're going to insert the measuring cup, and we're going to make our own almond meal. Next, 5 seconds on speed 9. Going to be a bit noisy. Next, I've got a teaspoon of oregano. I don't know if you can see that. A teaspoon of onion powder, half a teaspoon of sweet paprika, a quarter of a teaspoon of salt, and a pinch of ground black pepper. I mean, if you don't have these herbs and spices, you can put in whatever you like. And that's what I love about Thermomix. It's a guide. You can still have full control of what you want to make with the ingredients that you have on hand. Okay, we're going to put that in for 5 seconds on reverse on speed 3. I'm just going to combine all those ingredients together. Next, we're going to transfer this into a bowl and set it aside. And this is actually a coating of our chicken Kievs. Okay, just going to pop that in there, put that aside. We don't need to wash our bowl, which is great. Next, it tells us not to wash our bowl. We're going to add our Parmesan cheese. So I've got 100 grams here of Parmesan cheese. Next, we're going to grate that. Next, 10 seconds on speed 9. Best thing about grating your own cheese, you know exactly what's in there. We know that there's no anti-caking agents in here. And we've got full control, and the texture is absolutely beautiful. So I'm going to put that aside in a bowl as well. Again, we don't need to wash our bowl. Let's go next. We've got next going in, we've got 100 grams of salted butter. We've got 2 garlic cloves in here. We've got 10 grams of flat leaf parsley, 10 grams of basil, and a sprig of thyme. So I'm just going to pop those all in together. One got away. We'll put that one in as well. Next, we're going to put our measuring cup in, and essentially all we're doing is doing a garlic and herb butter. Next, 4 seconds on speed 5. mixing away. Couple more seconds. Now in the recipe, it actually tells you to put in a bowl and set aside. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take some cling wrap, put it on my bench. And that should be enough. Wait for the arms to open. And you can see there that we've got our garlic and herb butter. I'm just going to put this aside. Let you see what's going on here. So you can put it in, but it is quite soft and you can spoon it into the Kievs like this. But what I like to do is pre-make this, especially when I make my own butter. My bowl's already dirty. I'll make garlic and herb butter, have it already rolled and in the freezer. So what I do is just get some cling wrap, flatten it out a little bit, just roll it up. Can you all see that? And then just back and forth, just make a little sausage. And I have these in the freezer ready to go. So this is one that I had earlier in the freezer and I've already got it pre-made and ready to slice up. And I just find that when it's already frozen and you slice it, it just doesn't become messy when you're trying to fill your chicken. So that's a little tip for you there. Okay, so next we've done all that. We're not going to rinse our mixing bowl because we're keeping all those flavours in there. Pop that back on and we're going to mince our chicken. Normally when mincing chicken or meat, we do partially freeze it. For this recipe, it doesn't actually call for that. So I've got 500 grams of chicken, just cubed up about 2 to 3 centimetres each. I'm going to pop those into the bowl. Okay, next, we've got 1 egg. I've got some salt already in there as well. That's going to go in. We've got the salt in there. Next, we've got the reserved Parmesan cheese. That's going into the bowl as well. And we've got 20 grams of the reserved crumbs that we've already made. So I will weigh that in. We're on 0. So we'll just put 20 grams, which is just probably a little bit over a tablespoon. There you go, if you want to be perfect, 20 grams. Next, we're going to put our lid and our measuring cup on. And 40 seconds, we're going to mince and mix these ingredients together. While that's doing that, I'm just going to prepare my bench. You can use the thermomat for this if you really like, but this is what I find a lot easier and cleaner to do as well. So get yourself a wet or damp cloth, wipe down your bench. And again, I'm using my cling wrap. And that'll stick nicely to your bench. And because I've got quite a big family, if I'm doing them on the thermomat, I'm going to need several thermomats. So for me, it's just an easy little trick. It makes cleaning up a breeze and works really well. Okay, so next, my oven's already preheating, so we can skip that stage. And we're just going to transfer this, and you can see how beautifully fine it's minced all that up. I'm going to transfer this into a bowl. Just get a clean spatula. And I quite often do the same mixture when I make my kids' homemade chicken nuggets. So think outside the square. And it's a really great mix just to make for chicken nuggets. They absolutely love them. And I can rest assured that I know that there's no bleached chicken in there. It's all ingredients that I've purchased and they're getting a treat, but a healthy treat. So I have my chicken lined up there. I've got my crumbs here as well. What I'll do is I'm going to slice up my butter now. And this recipe makes 6, or you can make larger ones. I'm going to make 6 today. So I've got my chopping board and just cut it into little discs. You can see that? So just, they don't have to be perfect. That's good enough. So I've got the discs ready to go as well. I'm going to arm myself with some gloves. Just makes it easier and cleaner. And the other thing I'm going to do, I'm going to grab a bowl of water. So if you dampen your hands and your gloves while you're working with like mince, it just comes away a lot easier and doesn't become a sticky mess. So I'm just going to prepare my bowl. Got some water here. I'm just going to pop that in. So I've got my water. And basically all I do with my mixture, should have just put it straight there. And I just wet my gloves and I'm going to just portion that off into 6 pieces roughly. You can do it freehand if you want. So 6 pieces. And then basically I just roll them into little balls, have them all ready. That one's a little bit bigger so you can break away and just add as you need to. Roll them. Okay. Next step, grab yourself one of your little chicken balls and all I do is just flatten them on my Glad wrap. So just to about that thickness. You don't want them too thin because once you cook them, you don't want to have that delicious garlic herb butter seeping out. So just flatten them out. Needs a bit more, I think. Like that. And then all we do is we grab our garlic butter, pop one in the middle, like so. I'm going to wet my hands again. Just pick it up and basically you just want to encase that garlic butter and just keep working it until it's your desired shape, I guess, and that there's no open spots or thin spots, and that's pretty much it. So I'll do another one. You don't have to watch me do all of them. I'll just do 2. Just make sure that you seal those openings. And if you have to use water, it's great. It'll help hold it together, but it actually helps the crumbs stick to it. So the recipe doesn't say this, but if you attempt to do them, I'd highly recommend that you do it like that. So just play with them like that. The next step is your crumbs. And you actually dip them in the crumbs twice. So normally I'd make all of them up. And again, just keep patting the crumbs in and you put them aside. Once you've done all of them, you go back and recoat them. So there's no dipping in egg or egg wash. It's just straight into the crumb mixture like that. And that's how you do your chicken Kievs. The next step after this, which I won't do on screen, is I lightly pan fry them just in a pan, just to give them a little bit of colour on the outside, and then they go into the oven for 10 minutes. Now I spoke about chicken nuggets, but I'm just going to show you what I do. So with the same mixture, I'll break off a little bit. And you can see without the water that it sort of sticks and gets a little bit tacky. All I do is get some chicken, roll it in there. If you want, I normally just press them out and then I give them a little indent and they look like chicken nuggets. And again, with those, you can put them straight in the oven if you like. You can shallow fry them, pan fry them, you can deep fry them, and you've got a tasty little chicken nugget and you know exactly what's in there. Okay.
Cinda, I learn things from you every single time.
That's what the classes are for. We all learn.
I know. So you're ready to go and finish doing those and we'll come back to you for your collie mash?
Sounds good.
Beautiful.
I was doing pretzels next.
I'm doing pretzels.
Okay. All right. Yep.
But I'm not doing them next. We're going to Linda Petroni, who is going to show us straining off her Tom Yum. I can't even speak properly. Tom Yum soup. And I swear I haven't tried the cocktails yet. Over to you.
So where I left you before was we threw everything in there and we were cooking that for 18 minutes. And you can see that we've got like all the big sort of carcasses from the lemongrass and everything else. A good idea for straining is to get yourself chucks. Now, I know the first time I saw chucks being used as in part of a kitchen for straining was with some chefs, and I nearly died. I just thought, no, this belongs, this is the cleaning part. No, you can use it in the kitchen. So line a sieve, and this is so that you don't get that granulated stuff falling through. If your sift is not fine enough, a good piece of chucks will do fine. So what you do is you line it, you tip out as much as you can and then scrape out the rest of the carcass. Now, some of it will be because of the lemongrass caught around the blade, and you may need a little bit of a pull because sometimes it's just stuck there. So just don't worry, it's not going to cut you or anything like that. It's just you're pulling that out. Now, once you've done this, you can do one of two things. You can give your bowl a rinse, or if you've got a second bowl, if you're lucky enough to buy last month with the gift with purchase, there was a second bowl. But if you haven't, just give it a quick rinse so that you don't have any of those little bits and pieces stuck in the bottom, because we've just gone to the effort of actually straining, popping your jug back on. Just lift this and I'll show you all the goodness that's left. Try and do this without making a huge mess. I've still got another 2 steps, so that's why I've asked to come back quickly. So we've strained this. I'm just going to follow the recipe where it asks me to pop this back in. Oh, this is going to be a classic. I think I might just do it this way. And I'm going to do this. Use your spatula when you're pouring to actually pour onto the spatula. You don't get a big splash. Did you know that? There's a tip for you. Someone taught me that. So I've got now the beautiful broth in here, and it smells divine. If you could only smell it. I'm now going in with the actual flesh of the prawns. So before I was just using the head, yeah. Mushrooms, oh my goodness, this is where you can experiment. If you've never tried different mushrooms before and you've been reluctant, these little babies, they're just like fine little hairs, they're gorgeous. They're called enoki mushrooms. Now, you can pick these up at most like Harris Farms or even the normal supermarkets. But look out for something a little bit more exotic. It doesn't just always have to be the white and the brown mushrooms that goes into these dishes. So I've just separated them out and I'm dropping those in. And don't worry if you don't have enough either. I don't have the full amount that it says in the recipe. And as I said, this is the flexibility of Thermomix recipes. It's not a cake, so I don't have to worry too much to be that precise. I'm going to pop the lid on again, and you're going to see me come back because this is going to be about a 5-minute cook again. So you will see me at the end when we're bringing this all together, and I'll show you the end result. So thanks for letting me break in there, Teresa, just to get tips on straining.
That is absolutely perfect. So I'm actually going to switch over to my other camera, and I'm going to show you how to make pretzels. Now, I've already made the dough, so I'll talk you through that as I'm rolling, but I'm going to show you how to roll the pretzel shape, how to make pretzel bites, which is really easy and really tasty, how to boil them, and then why we boil them. So if Tammy is able to, let me just come get my phone, start video. Okay, can you see the bench?
Not yet, I'm trying to find you.
Okay, you need to look for the other Teresa Van Gessel. I'm twice. I'll wave my hands around under my screen.
We can see you now.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, so I made the dough earlier, and I'm going to say, right. I made the dough earlier, and it's a fairly standard dough. It's but you use 400 grams of milk. You warm up your yeast in the milk, 600 grams of baker's flour, and some salt. So it's pretty straightforward. And then I just popped it in the thermoserver. At this time of year, it can be hard to get your bread to rise, and where I live, it's pretty cold. So I sometimes put it on top of my wood heater. Other times I actually put it in the thermoserver over some boiling water or in my Veroma on my Thermomix. But today we've got this big, beautiful log, and the trick is to make pretzels, you're going to cut it into 10. So again, having our Thermomat with the measuring and the bowl scraper, because you don't want to use any sharp metal objects on here, you just break it up into equal sized bits and roll them into balls. Now, I'm not going to make you watch all of this, but what I am going to do is show you, I'll pop those out of the way, to make a normal pretzel, a soft pretzel, a German pretzel. The first time I had these was actually in Philadelphia. I was there with my family in 1984. I was very young, very, very young at the time. And a police officer said, hey, you're foreigners, you need to have one of our soft pretzels. So he directed us to the soft pretzel cart, and I fell in love with them. So the trick is you want to roll them out to about the full length. They say 65 centimetres, about the full length of your mat. Then you make them into a U shape. you cross them over, you give them another twist. So you've now got this sort of almost keyhole shape, and then you bring the ends up and just tuck them into the dough on top. And with these, you then put them aside onto a prepared tray and you keep rolling and going. But in the interest of time, I'm going to shortcut that. Hang on a moment. Because the next step is I've actually got a beautiful boiling pan of water with 3 tablespoons of bicarb soda in it. And the reason that we put these into bicarb soda is it actually helps the alkalinity of the water, helps the outside to go brown. So if you compare these to boiled bagels, bagels are quite pale, pretzels are quite dark. It's because of the action of the baking soda. And the other reason that we do it is because the heat will actually help the inside of the dough puff up hugely. So I'm going to drop that in, and I'm going to let it sit there in my beautiful boiling water for a few seconds. And then I'm going to bring it back over and now pop it onto the tray. It's a tray I prepared earlier. And on this particular one, I love a bit of the old crunchy sea salt, but you can also add black sesame seeds or white sesame seeds. So I will do the rest of those and pop them in the oven. But before we do that, I'm just going to show you the other trick. If you look on Cookie Doo, you'll actually see the same recipe, but under the name of pretzel party bites. And to make pretzel party bites, you roll out your dough again, but this time you just actually cut them into these little chunks, and then you drop them into the water for 30 seconds, and then you scoop them back out. So they're in there. They will now come back out. And you can see already that they've puffed up a bit. And I will sprinkle those with a bit of salt. Oh, I've got 2 more that I'll drop in at the same time. And they go into the oven and cook for 20 minutes as well. So to make something that's looks a bit complicated, but is actually relatively easy, and there were no fancy ingredients. It was everything I already had in my pantry. The other thing is, the best way to eat these is with mustard and drink beer. But if you don't have that, there are some people who like to do cinnamon and sugar, sweet flavours. So you can really do whatever you want, but these are the traditional ones. So I'm going to come back to my main screen. Talk about instant pretzel making. And I'm going to hand over to Linda Bertuccio, who's going to show you how to make cauliflower mash while I finish rolling pretzels.
Okay, I'm back. I was going to clean up and I thought I better not. So having the Glad wrap on there, you can see all those crumbs, fold it all in, and I've now got a beautiful clean workspace to start my next dish. And I use it for schnitzel, I use it for gnocchi, a lot of things, but you can just see how easy the cleanup is. So I'll just show you as well. I finished rolling the rest of those, so you can see how quick and easy it is. And this lot's already been pan fried, and that's going to go into the oven for 10 minutes. So I love being a consultant and working from the virtual space because it allows us to cook dinner for our family. So once I get off, dinner's done. So thanks to you guys for jumping on and allowing me to do this for you. All right, so we're going to do our cauliflower mash. I'm just going to stop that other Thermomix. I've got it cleaning in the background, so bear with me. Okay. Another beauty of having a Thermomix, the pre-clean function. All right, so the cauliflower mash is on here. Really good low carb option if you don't want to have too many carbs, and you've got cauliflower in season at $2 a head at the moment, which is great. So start cooking. Now with this, it's telling me to actually grate the cheese, but I normally buy my cheese in bulk and I do grate it and have it ready to go. So I just grabbed some that I'd already pre-grated and have here. So I'm going to add my 25 grams in. Next, I'm going to insert the measuring cup. I don't need to because it's already grated. Oh, I should have remembered that. You've got to put your Parmesan cheese aside. See, as a consultant, you can be clunky, you can stuff things up. We take anyone. So if you are seriously enjoying watching this and think that you'd like to be part of the team, please put your name down in the chat and someone will talk to you. Okay, our cauliflower, just cut into little florets, chuck that all in at 700 grams going in. Next, I've got the 2 garlic cloves that went in as well. We're going to insert our measuring cup. Next, 5 seconds on speed 6. We're just going to chop. Next, we're going to add our water. Just going to give it a bit of a chop. I've probably left them a little bit bigger than what I should have, but that's fine. So I'm just going to go back. Another 5 seconds on speed 6. Okay. Next, we're going to add 40 grams of water. Just make sure that you always tear that weight. Okay, 44, that's fine. Next, we're going to insert the measuring cup. And we're going to cook this for 15 minutes at 100 degrees on speed 1. So we'll come back to that when it's ready. And I don't know who we're going over to, Teresa.
I'm just going to check. Bev, are you ready to show us some soup?
Okay, yep, I just finished my soup. Well, it's ready to eat. So I've got some beautiful buns. It also says to add a few herbs, which is always nice to sit on top of your soup. Now, these are some of the buns I've made. I've got an abundance of them. So what I'm going to do is let them cool off and freeze them, because you can actually pop them back into the varoma and steam again to heat them up. So I made 2 batches, so I've got lots of Mantou buns in our freezer. So these are beautiful with soup. They're light. I'll just open one up. Light and delicious on the inside. I had one earlier for my lunch, so, you know, yum. I can't, because I've got funny things on my teeth. But, sorry, you all needed to know that, didn't you? So yeah, this will be very, very tasty, light. The buns are beautiful. Haven't had to turn on the oven, and I've got a beautiful bowl of soup to have for dinner tonight, and a lot of buns. And by the way, one more thing with the buns, there's a lot of recipes on Cookie Do. You can make bao, you can put pork inside the buns. There's all sorts of recipes that allow you to make a beautiful bun with flavour and filling. So look out for those and make a playlist and start making some steam buns. Thank you.
Over to the other Linda.
I know, it gets a bit confusing, doesn't it? All right, so this is finished now. It's been cooking for those last couple of minutes. What I've done is I had some chopped tomatoes. You can use either cherry tomatoes or just normal size Roman tomatoes, whatever, and chop them up. And I threw them in a couple of minutes to go. And I've also, I like to actually make it a little bit creamier. So I pop in a couple of tablespoons of coconut cream. Now, it doesn't actually say for the coconut cream to go in it in the recipe. This is why you join cooking classes, because you get all these tips. And it's something that I learned along the way when I was taught by another consultant how to make this particular soup. So when I found that this particular soup was available in Cookadoo, that's when I started using the Cookadoo version, but it doesn't have the coconut. The other thing to remember, so it's, as I said to you before, like any mushrooms will do. I've just got the soup coming out. I'm just using a ladle just to bring it out so I can show you. Ensuring that you add something at the end that's fresh, like lime, is a way to go. And if you never knew this, I'm going to give you another tip about slicing a lime that I found out when we went on a holiday as consultants. We get these trips overseas. And one of the trips that we went over, it's been a while now, 2 years ago, when we were overseas, I got taught how to cut and juice a lime properly. And I'm going to show you this little tip. So instead of doing it the traditional way that we know, which is down the centre and using a juicer or squeezing your lemon or lime that way, you take the cheek off. So when I'm talking about taking the cheek off, I'm just literally just slicing it, and I've got like the little cheek part in my hand. Can you see that? And then what they say to do is grab it and squeeze it on the blunt edge of your knife. So knife down and squeeze it. And what ends up happening with that cheek is you get more of the juice coming out of the actual lime or the lemon. So there's a little tip for you. Something I learned on one of the trips away with all the consultants. The soup is done, as we said, dressing it nicely with a bit of coriander or something like that is always the way to go. And I'm going to bring it over because I've got my, there you go. Can you see that? I've got my laptop on a stack of books here, and I'm just going to taste it. And it's really spicy, and it's got a good kick in it. Now, if you needed it to have a bit of sweetness in it, or you wanted to take it to another edge, you can put a bit of palm sugar in when it's cooking. You can even do things like maple syrup, just a little squirt of maple syrup or something as it's cooking, and it will actually take it to another level again. So working with a base recipe and always playing around with it is my tip. Now, I'm going to show you some behind the scenes stuff, because I think sometimes when you're watching these cooking classes, you think, oh, I could never be a consultant. They have all these fancy lights and they have this setup. I'm going to show you my setup. Right, there's my stack of books on the back of 2 chairs, all the cookbooks. And then what I do is I just actually stick my laptop up there, and I'm in my kitchen. So I wanted to show you that because
So fancy, Linda.
so fancy. It sounds very fancy, I know.
Very,
but I
very.
show you because anyone can do this.
Yeah.
All right. So if you're sitting there and you love cooking and you love your Thermomix, it's time to give us a call. We'd love to see you sharing this love around like we do too. Okay, that's enough from me. Bye.
Absolutely. And yes, our fancy setups are not that fancy. Mine is also a laptop. I'm currently in the granny flat. I live on a farm, and I'm in the granny flat, and I've got a kitchen table sitting in the middle with a pile of books and a laptop. So high tech, but it all comes together. Oh, Linda, that looks so good. All right, Linda Bertuccio, are you ready for us to come back to you yet? No? Tina, I think it's time. I know, Anthea, we're going to you for cocktails and I'm hanging out, but is Tina ready to show us her little banana breads?
Can you see me?
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Look at that. So what I've done is they just are perfect. And to give it a little bit of a gloss, why not put a little bit of maple syrup and drizzle it? How gorgeous is that? And if you have any extras, which I do, even the silicone, these silicone cupcake liners, which are great because they're reusable, are also available in Mix Shop. And that's what I did with my spares. But look at that. Look at how easy it comes out of. Beautiful. There you go. That's the one. And that's the other one. So one is the naughty one with the nuts, and one is the gluten-free. And these are my cafe style banana bread. Enjoy.
Oh, they look like bought ones. So again, that beautiful reminder of what you can achieve at home with just what you've got in your pantry. Thank you, Tina. Honestly, your polish is amazing, as always. You'll notice Tina's a little more polished than the rest of us. She actually, and there's someone coming in to steal something behind her. She's one of those people who says, oh, camera 1, camera 2. She doesn't have things sitting on a pile of books. She shows the versatility of how our business can run. So thank you. Now, the next person we're going to call on is Anthea. Now, Linda Petroni didn't share her disappointment, but Anthea is about to emphasise her disappointment in lockdown and what's happened over the last week. So where are you, Anthea? I had you there. Oh, there we are. Anthea, tell us the sad story and why you need cocktails.
Okay, so guess where I should be right now? Yeah, So I figured, seeing as I'm not going to be on the slopes for the next 10 days like I thought I might be, maybe I would bring an element of the slopes home, which is cocktails that I may have been consuming on the slopes. So I am hoping that we don't get as far as into homeschooling, but I'm going to give you 2 cocktails. One is a mocktail. So again, you can add your liquor of choice to that if you like. And the other one is a nice espresso martini. But before I show you the cocktails, I want to show you something else you can make in the Thermomix, which I have pre-prepared. This is something that I'm sure all of you would like to know how to make in the Thermomix. It's not on Cookie Dough. Something I made earlier. You're all going to need to know how to make these. If only there was a recipe in Cookie Dough. Shops at Monaville were already sold out today. Okay, so let's start with our espresso martini. Very simple. We are going to add some vodka. So I've got the scales popped up on here. So it's 150 grams of vodka. This makes 4, by the way. So if you are only making for 2, just simply half the recipe. And then we come on to our next step, which is Kahlua. Just 120 of Kahlua. Doesn't matter if you go a little bit over on either of these. No one's measuring accurately. Does not matter. And then we're going to pop in our cooled coffee. Now, I just got this from the my Nespresso machine, but you can just use just a couple of teaspoons of instant coffee and let that cool. Popping that in. And some ice cubes. So 300 grams of ice cubes. Just pop all of those in now. Now this bit gets a little noisy, so we'll just pop the lid on. And we're just going to turn it up to speed 4. It does it on reverse, so we're just bashing these ice cubes around. And all we do now is we're going to just strain this into our prepared glass. So just going to move this out of the way so you can see what I'm doing here. So I've just got just a little strainer, pouring this out into the glass.
Can I just say, if you don't have a strainer, the simmering basket can work very well, because let's face it, you don't want to go without your cocktail just because you don't have a strainer.
Absolutely. And actually, you don't even have to strain it, to be honest. You just get nice bits of ice in it. It all depends on how you like it. So this is taking a while to strain. I've got a very good strainer, it seems. But just to show you, I'm just going to pop a couple of these beans on top. This is nowhere near as full as I would make it, but I just want you to see how perfect that espresso martini is. And I can promise you it tastes better than anything you'll ever get in the shop. So beautiful. You can control the amount of alcohol you've got in it. And I also now have enough for 4. So I'm just going to put this aside.
Sorry, for 4, don't you mean for 1?
For 1 in my house. Yep, it will be mine.
Now, I got distracted during that, but you put vodka in, is that correct?
Yeah, vodka and Kahlua.
Well, if you don't have vodka, gin works very well also. I have a large gin collection. It's my hobby, dangerously. And I've used gin and they've come up quite beautifully. Particularly there's a wattle seed gin made by a company up in Currajong near Linda Bertuccio, actually, and that's very good. So there you go, a little tip.
So this next recipe is called Sunshine Margarita, and it's actually a non-alcoholic one. It is also on Cookie Dough. It asks for some caster sugar, and I don't have any already made, so I'm just going to do that step first before I do anything else. So just popping a bit of sugar in. I'm going to pop it on to speed 10 just to save that recipe. Pop it on to speed 10. Just for about 5 seconds, come back to the recipe. Now this recipe asks for limes, oranges, lemons, and pineapple. I've made it before for the kids and they found it a little bit tart without alcohol. I put in there. So I actually switch it, instead of 2 limes and 2 lemons, I do 1 lime, 1 lemon and extra oranges. So, and extra pineapples. So that's all going in there. So oranges, limes, lemons. It says I've just peeled them. It says to take pits out. I don't bother because we blitz it and you can't taste them. So anything to make life easier. Then we are adding some water. Let's just pop back into the recipe. Let me just go in. Okay, so first of all, before we add the water, we're just going to blitz up all this fruit. So that's just going to have a blitz for about 15 seconds. Now, if you were going to add maybe some tequila or gin or vodka, whatever you choose, this is the next section where you would be adding it. So it says to add the caster sugar. I've already done that because I did it in the beginning. Ice cubes. And then some water. So switch the water out for alcohol if you want to. And then next step, measuring cup and lid back on. And 1 minute of mixing. So I was asking for your favorite cocktails. We're just finished here. So next step is just to pour this out into your glass and serve immediately. So I'm just going to pour this one out for you to see here. So this one, lots and lots of vitamins. So this is a great one if you do have any of the kids who've got a bit of a cold, or if you're just trying to fend off any colds yourself or anything else. We've got a beautiful vitamin C in a cup. So here we have 2 ever so easy cocktails to make that are going to help you get through the next couple of weeks. Thank you for joining us.
If only we weren't 3 hours apart, I could be one of your 5 people and come to visit.
I don't mind, but it's the first 5 through the door.
Yes, first 5 through the door to Mona Vale. There you go. They won't last that long. Thank you, Anthea. That is the exact motivation we needed. Now, I'm really conscious that we've gone a little bit over the hour. We do want to wait and see the rest of the cauliflower mash because, again, I know a lot of you are really interested in that. So I thought I would just do a little bit of, spruiking as we do. So first of all, right at the beginning, I showed you that if you were to buy a TM6 this month, and up until, now someone's going to tell me if I get this wrong, up until the 1st of July, 7th of July, a date in July. Anyway, you get this amazing little dust buster vacuum cleaner from Vorwerk, normally valued at $299. You get it as an extra for $49. Can I tell you? I'm just going to show you the lights alone. This thing is amazing. I have never loved cleaning so much since I got this a few weeks ago. I keep zipping around, vacuuming the dog's hair, vacuuming crumbs, vacuuming everything. So that's the first thing. The second thing is we may have mentioned a little bit about how awesome it is to join our business. Part of the reason we're doing that is because our business has changed dramatically in the last 18 months since COVID came in. We now have all sorts of virtual and online options that we never had before. And I don't know, but I suspect that someone in head office just had a little bit of a vision about what was coming, because we currently have a half price business kit offer. So you can actually join our business for $62.50. If you've already got a TM6, that's your only upfront cost. And I'm just going to quickly show you, she says, what you get when you join our business. You get this beautiful box that arrives. Now, can I angle down so that you can see what's in the box? And for your $62.50, you get one of our gorgeous aprons, the amazing bread mat we've all been showing off today. And can I tell you, making bread during lockdown is one of the best things you can do. You get our 2.6 litre thermoserver, which is what I used to put my dough in to prove while I was waiting to roll it out for you. You get the flip chart that we use to, you know, keep the flow of our cooking experiences going. You get the travel bag that actually carries your Thermomix in it. You also get a folder with all the stationery that you need to actually run a cooking experience. And the box is gorgeous. You'd do it for the box alone, wouldn't you? Now, all of that is worth well over $300, $62.50 if you join and become a consultant in the next month. So if it's something you're thinking about, it's something you're like, maybe it is worth giving it a go, talk to your consultant. If you don't have a consultant, drop something into our chat. Because I'm the local business manager, I can actually reach out to you, check and see. That's my timer for my pretzels. There we go. Check and see where you are and find you the right person. So we would love you to think about joining us. We have a lot of fun all over the place. The girls all over Sydney. I'm actually out in the country in New South Wales, and we all love working together. And as you've seen, we all learn so much. So that's my little plug for how awesome it is to be part of our business. But Linda Bertuccio is ready to show us her cauliflower mash. And while she's doing that, I'm going to pull my pretzels out of the oven.
My kids are all coming out. Is dinner ready? It will be soon. Okay. So my cauliflower's cooked down like that. You can see that. I'm going to go next. I'm going to add some sea salt and just a bit of pepper into the bowl. Next, we've added the pepper. We've got a tablespoon of ghee. Now this is ghee. If you don't have any ghee, you can use butter, you can use olive oil. But ghee is really easy to make in the Thermomix. And if you're into Indian dishes, you'll find that you will use quite a bit of it as well. So I'm going to pop that in there. Next, I'm adding our reserved grated Parmesan. That's going in like that. Next, we've got the measuring cup in and we're going to blend this for 30 seconds on speed 7. While that's doing that, our chicken Kievs have come out of the oven, as you can see. Okay, that's blended. Okay, now we're going to serve it with our favourite main dish. Just scrape down the sides. You can see how beautifully it's pureed. It's really, really smooth and velvety, and I'm going to plate up for you guys. And I've got my laptop sitting on a whole lot of chopping boards because I do more cooking than reading. Okay, so I've got my mash. Just going to smear that on the bottom. And you'll notice that I've done a lot of low carb today because of all the bread baking I did last lockdown. Now I'm switched to all the low carb stuff, but there is a lot of recipes out there to suit everybody's likes and needs. Okay, so I've got that. What I'm going to do next is fancy it up. Just put a bit of rocket over the top. I'm going to get one of our chicken Kievs. And we'll cut into it on camera. That'll sit on top. You can fancy it up more if you like. And I'm going to cut into it. And what I also made earlier today is some of the grain-free, gluten-free rolls. So they'll get one of those with their dinner as well. Are you ready for me to do the reveal? Let's hope I don't splash my laptop.
I am so ready and so envious. They look amazing.
You can see all that goodness side spilling out, and that goes beautifully with the creamy cauliflower, a bit of the rocket on there, and then they can mop up all the leftover delicious garlic butter with a nice bread roll.
It's like living in a restaurant eating at your house, Linda.
And how easy was that?
That was fantastic. Thank you. Not quite as impressive, but still good. I have some pretzels to show you. So if I find where I've put my cheeky little oven mitt, I will bring them over, angle my laptop down a little bit, and you can see I've got the pretzel bites, which will go really well with a dip. I've got the pretzels themselves, some with black sesame, some with salt, and you can see how they've cracked. They've got that beautiful golden colour to them, and that's because of the baking soda in the water that boiled them, and they've puffed up beautifully. So when I open them up, which I might be forced to do just to show you, let me see, how hot are they? Oh, still hot. Oh, look at that, beautiful crunchy on the bottom. Too hot. Hang on. Whew, the steam's coming out. But look at that on the inside, that beautiful, soft, fluffy with the steam coming out. These are they're crunchy on the outside, soft on the inside. They are the perfect soft pretzel. And although I always think of them as American because I had them in Philadelphia, of course, they're originally German. Hence the need to have them with beer. But as I said, other people like to have them with sugar and vanilla, you know, whatever you like. But they're really easy compared to what I imagined they would be the first time I made them. So while we're all in this weird, crazy lockdown period again, and we're having a bit of deja vu, take some time, you know, play with your Thermomix, get out there and make some stuff. If you've got some flour and some yeast, there's a lot of things you can do. And if you've got some basic, you know, ingredients in your cupboard, none of the dishes we made tonight involved anything particularly spectacular, except for Linda Petroni, who had all those beautiful fresh herbs, but we've also given you some suggestions on how to replace those herbs. Now, the follow-up to all of this is I'm going to send you all an email, and it will give you the links to the recipes that we've made tonight. It will give you a link to the recording of tonight in case you want to go back and watch anything. And it will also have a link to our Facebook group, which is where you'll see when our next classes are coming up, because we're going to do a lot more. Lockdown is a time for all of us to enjoy our cooking, share it with you. And as Linda said, we get to make dinner for our family and share tips at the same time. So what's not to lose? Now, we've had a lovely Donna has been commenting away in the chat, and I've realised that, Donna, you might not be in Australia, because you talked about this morning you can go out. Yes, she's in the UK. Excellent. I love it when we go international. It makes me feel very famous, you know. Oh, and I saw someone was in Wanaka. I always love a bit of New Zealand, particularly because that's where Linda and Linda Petroni and Anthea were meant to be at the moment, and where a lot of my family is. So yeah, thank you all so much for joining us. If you'd like to join us more often as consultants, as we've all said, we love it. We have so much fun and we'd love you to join us. But in the meantime, go forth, be safe. And if you have any questions, reach out to your consultants, reach out to us. We're all here to help, and we've all got each other's backs. We're in this together. So thank you. And do any of my presenters have anything else they want to add? I'm checking faces. No, Anthea's like, no, I want to drink my cocktail. Hang on. She's bringing it back. Cheers. Cheers, cheers, cheers. All right. And Tammy, thank you. You are an amazing moderator of the chat. I am incredibly grateful to you. We all come together to support each other. So I'm going to, don't tell my children, but I'm going to go and find a beer to go with those pretzels before I cook them their dinner. Have a lovely evening, everybody. We'll see you all soon.